The exciting part is that we now move $1 billion a day.
And now, your podcast hosts, Andre and Christian.
Welcome to Connecting for Future, the podcast where we discuss the ways in which we can build a better tomorrow. I'm your host, Christian Köstling, and with me is my co-host, Andre Brusiak. Today, we are honored to have Shameel Joosub, the CEO of Vodacom Group. Shameel, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Andre, and thanks for having me on the show.
Let's start with the role of technology. In building a better future in Africa and the entire world, purpose is central to everything that you do. How are you bringing that to life amid the various challenges and opportunities in the various markets where you operate?
I think a big part for us is really been the purpose of connecting people. It's how the company was born. It's also the reason why, I don't know if you know this, but Vodacom actually created prepaid for the world. So essentially, it was born out of the need to make sure that every one of our customers could have access to a mobile phone, and that's why we created prepaid. So in that same spirit, what we're trying to achieve today is to make sure that we can get everybody connected and that we can drive digital inclusion, because we think access to telecommunications is found that every 10% penetration has a 2.5% uplift in GDP. So that's quite a big part for us. And it brings people into the internet, and that also harnesses a full list of new opportunities. But also technology is being used for all kinds of things, and the platforms that we're creating has been quite exciting in that regard, from the fintech platforms in mobile money to the super apps, to our farming platforms, and my Connected Farmer and My Farm Web, to our mezzanine platform that was used for the entire COVID. So it's bringing people that were excluded back in. So example, in our Connected Farmers, it's giving us the ability to allow those farmers to have access to financing, to have access to markets, to take out the middlemen, and to create firstly more success for them, but also improve food security on the continent. So like that, and the same with IoT, the different platforms that we're delivering, and the real life problems that it is solving. I think it's quite encouraging of how tech can be used for good, but also how we are utilizing it to deliver our purpose of connecting for a better future.
You managed a lot of innovations now, Shameel. So how do you tackle innovations? Where do the ideas come from, and how do you bring these to life?
It actually starts, we created a very, very cool concept, which is a hackathon concept. And it's actually, it's a lot of fun, but also drives this very passionately, and drives this engagement from the staff as well. So what we do is we have local hackathons, and then we have across all the markets, a big hackathon where essentially, you come up with different ideas, and it's a competition and so on. But you come, there'll be sleeping bags, and you've got 24 hours to come up with the ideas and so on. And then you create the different ideas, and then you present it to almost like a Shark Tank type scenario, and then the best ones get chosen and get funded. But that creates a lot of excitement. And I must tell you, it's amazing the amount of ideas that come, and from where it comes, because of people's previous experiences and so on, and real life parts that they bring through to bear. And it's everything. So, I mean, the one, to give an example, is a drone management system that we're looking at. Another one is the use of big data to curb crime. And so, various different platforms that can be used for various reasons.
Can you talk a little bit more about, Shameel, about the fintech you talked about? Because this is really exciting from my point of view. Also, it's very special because it's really a differentiator. If you look at Europe and Africa, we always kind of look at it and say, wow, this is really a big piece of business there.
It is, and it's become, we now have 73 million financial service customers across the continent. We have 185 million customers, but 73 million are using a financial service. And it also talks to our purpose of driving financial and digital inclusion. But the exciting part is that we now move $1 billion a day through our platforms. And it's just hugely exciting. That's everything from person-to-person payments to lending. We now introduced investments, so you can invest as little as $1, as an example, but you can also lend as little as $1. So this whole concept of nano lending has also become really, really powerful. So that's on the one side, and then now we've gone into the super app part, and we partnered with Alipay in that regard. We introduced the Alipay app in South Africa. We're introducing it into Egypt, and we've put elements of the Alipay app on top of the M-Pesa. And what it's doing is it's creating marketplaces. So we like a mini Amazon of Africa, or in the markets that we're operating, and that's hugely exciting. But the amount of opportunities that it gives to merchants, small merchants who can now sell their products beyond the geographical areas because they can now come onto the platform. Even for big retailers, the likes of Walmart and so on, are on the platform. But the idea is that you can do everything from the app: pay, shop, lend, save, invest, everything from your your morning gym class to your coffee, to buying food, to groceries. Everything happens for your transport. Everything happens from a single app. So that's been quite exciting. But on the other side, we've also built the merchant part. So we have our own point of sale devices, but we also have M-Pesa Till. And we have now over 700,000 merchants that are using our platforms as well. But they can lend from that platform. So if you're a street vendor, you can get I used to be a street vendor, so I really appreciate this. And so you'd buy that product, and so you'd have, if it's $100, you've got $100 to go buy apples, and for example, sell it and then pay back the loan. So that becomes really empowering in that respect. So yeah, quite very, very exciting in terms of driving financial inclusion and the changes that it's making to economies because of that digitization factor, both in the empowering part, but also just giving people the ability to invest. And so, I mean, if you look at some markets in Africa, it's more digital than Europe. If you look at financial services, so that's actually quite encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to ask, because in Europe, sometimes we have kind of a resistance to using new technology due to data privacy issues and so on. So is there anything similar in Africa, or do you guys always see the chances of technology and try it out and then see how it goes?
Yeah, I think, the firstly, I mean, you're talking about a banked environment versus an environment that is not as banked.
Right.
South Africa, of course, being more banked, but I think there's opportunities in both. And so the approach we're taking is saying, how do we get these excluded segments to really take part of it? And so that becomes really encouraging because, and also solving real life problems, right? Like, for instance, you get a fertilizer subsidy. How do you make sure that it reaches the intended recipients? And we use our platforms to be able to do that, to make sure that you get the voucher and you can actually utilize the voucher. So I think, it's there's those type of things that it's really solving for. But it's also this mentality of constantly creating new ideas and new opportunities. And because we're opening up the platforms more, it's really, you're getting thousands of people starting to develop products onto the platform, and I think that becomes very, very exciting. So yeah, I think it's looking at the circumstances you find yourself in, and then creating opportunities like that, like buy now pay later products, or now we're even doing vouchering. So for example, in the UK you have Nando's, so we now have Nando's, where you can eat the burger now and pay later. So we call it now eat now pay later. So these type of things are unlocking new opportunities for customers. And sometimes it's just for convenience, but other times it also helps you to be able to buy, like your paycheck comes on a Friday, but you need to buy food earlier on. And funny enough, the repayment cycles are very, very low, or the bad debt ratios are very, very low, because people at the bottom of the pyramid are so dependent on these services that they can't afford to not have them at their fingertips.
Huh, interesting. I must admit, Shameel, I'm also a big fan of fintech, right? So, and I was reading an article about your growth story. So you actually want by 2025, you want to have 75 million customers just for fintech, right? So how do you want to achieve with those opportunities you just described, or would it be you got like more?
Yeah, so actually, to be honest, we're at 73 already, Christian. So the target is already in the bag, so to speak. But I think the big part for us now is to move that. So that will be 80, 85 million customers. We want to get to 100 million fintech customers. So I think that's going to be really important. I think looking at also like saying now creating savings cultures. In most markets, people don't have that savings culture. So we see that as another big wave that will come. But it's this constant innovation that's happening, not just from us, but through the partners. Because you've created the right platforms for people to be able to do it, they can now innovate and bring those ideas onto the platforms as well.
Let's talk about employees, Shameel. I know that Vodacom has been named a top employer for several years now. How did you achieve that? I mean, you have been in this role like forever in enterprise terms, right? When I looked up your CV, I was amazed about your track record, actually. So how did you achieve this standing, and how do you want to stay on top of that top employer piece?
Yeah, I think the big part for us has been creating a culture where people, are excited to come to work. They're passionate about the company. I think so. A number of things fit in, right? It's that feeling of purpose, and that you're actually being part of something bigger, where you're actually making a meaningful difference, to society. It's why I come to work. It's what excites me to get up in the morning, even 29 years later. That's how long I've been at Vodafone. But it's still exciting. It's still passionate about what we're doing. That's the one side. But also creating a culture for employees where, firstly, you're attracting top talent, but you're also using the opportunity to develop people. So you have to continuously raise the bar on the caliber of staff. So we put a big focus on upskilling and making sure you've got the requisite skill development. So that's just one element. But I think also the different things that we've done is both Vodacom and Vodafone, and how we've integrated that into what we do, from the learning and development to the work from home to the or in our case working 2 days from home, 3 days in the office. So that flexible working, to what you do for staff in terms of benefits and creating the right environment that is exciting to work in. So everything from sports days to now the spirit days to or learning days to just creating a nice environment in which to work, but also working with our consultative committees to understand what's top of mind on our staff, and then being able to resolve those issues. I think has been really important.
That's really impressive, Shameel.
And also,
it's no wonder that
getting them to.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying also, like, we also have volunteering schemes. So as we do a lot on purpose, do a lot from the foundation, you also have the opportunity to take part in that. So we have a volunteering scheme, and if you come with good ideas, we'll also help you to fund that, whether it's painting a classroom or giving lessons and so on. And that becomes really exciting. So I think being part of something where you're contributing to society, but also where you can see the difference, I think is really important.
It's no wonder that Vodacom have achieved top employer status by the Top Employee Institute for 2023. Now, we also want to congratulate you on being named the 2023 Telecoms CEO of the Year. What does this award mean to you and to Vodacom?
To be honest with you, I see it more as a team award. and a nice accolade for the team in terms of the work that we're doing, the difference that we're making in society. We've seen that coming through in our reputation surveys and so on. Like during COVID, we stepped up in every country and we helped. I mean, in South Africa, the entire COVID, the whole platform end to end of managing of the vaccines and stuff was done by us and through our platforms. So those type of things, or giving health workers phones for during the crisis and so on. And now also trying to help to resolve some of the energy problems and so on. So I think it's about stepping up as a corporate. It's and trying to help to make a difference. So yeah, the award is really a nice accolade to reflect on the work that we've been doing as a company.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Just like, look, we've been in sales since ever, right? So like also now 15 years with Vodafone. But I have also saw an article where somebody was saying that you actually also started your role basically in school age when you started to sell chips, right? Within school. So you were always, so you didn't get your job by somebody just giving it to you. So you always had to go the extra mile. And this is, I guess this is also something where where people are bringing like a smile on the face, right? So they want to work for Vodacom. You are a great leader, right? By doing so much stuff since so many years, you must do something correct. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the connectivity piece a little bit. I mean, we do in Germany, for example, we do still have some spots where there's no decent mobile connectivity. But if I compare that to Africa, I mean, first time I went to Cape Town like 15 years back, I was really amazed. I was on the plane, I was seeing Africa, how long it took to cross Africa to reach South Africa, right? So it's just a continent. So how do you guys try to reach every point of the continent with mobile connectivity?
I think what we've done is, looking at our purpose and connecting people is fundamentally what we do. So what we decided to do is, I call it reimagining the problem. So, the problem in telcos is we talk a lot about rural coverage. Let's be honest, there's always a shortage of budget, right? Because you're going to deal with the capacity and be able to keep your current customers happy. And that absorbs a lot of your capex. So how then do we reimagine the problem? So what we've done is we've created and are busy creating JVs in our different markets where we specifically focus on rural coverage. And essentially, what we'll do is, through a revenue share mechanism, actually share with the partner that we're partnering with, that we can actually build out the rural coverage. So we put in a loan, and the loan is paid back through a revenue share. So it's reimagining the problem and actually doing something about that rural coverage. So that's a big part for us to deliver this year. And that's a big focus area for us. But it's finding solutions to it. The same thing with fiber. We've now created a joint venture, FiberCos, that will roll out into different countries. And the reason for that is because we don't have all the capex to do everything that we want to do, but we have the opportunities. So then, how do we fund it and achieve our purpose in the process? And that's quite exciting for us going forward. And will also give us exposure. I say, look, it's rather better to own 50% of something big than 100% of nothing.
Yeah, interesting. As Andre, you already mentioned, right? Billions of people across the planet are still not connected. And this is a huge problem. It requires transformation, innovations, new infrastructure. Only 10% of the surface of the planet has mobile broadband or connectivity. With companies, we utilize the low Earth orbit, so-called LEO satellite services, to bridge gaps within networks. Can you share information about your plans and when we could see space-based connectivity with Vodacom?
So I think the first part is of course this rural coverage. The second part is partnering with the new LEO satellite providers. So basically, we're partnering with AST. We'll do a pilot in Kenya in the coming months to start testing the service and make sure that it works and quite exciting with AST because it talks to the mobile phone, so you don't need a different device. So I think that's going to be quite exciting, and I think that coupling of those two become really important. Our modus operandi has always been let's be at the forefront of these new technologies. Sometimes, to be honest with you, it doesn't work, right? So an example with Loon, we were days away from launching in Mozambique. We've done all the work, we were ready, and then they pulled the plug, right? But for our engineers, they learned a lot in the process, and that's now helping us to prep for the satellite discussions that we had in. But we took a number of learnings from that, and now when the satellite part comes, we're willing to partner with all of them to achieve this goal of making sure that everybody's included. And I think the satellite technology will provide two big opportunities. One is backhauling for mobile sites, so we can roll out more mobile sites and backhaul the traffic over the satellite. So it allows us to go to more areas. And secondly, covering those areas, as you say, that still a lot to do in terms of rural coverage. So this will, be able to cover areas like the Serengeti, which are sparsely populated, and so on. So but it does bring coverage.
How do you see leadership playing a role in building a better future in Africa?
I think leadership in different ways. I think as a corporate, our ability to play a meaningful role, to establish a social contract with each country, understanding what government's goals are, how can we complement it, and how can we bring technology to help deliver those solutions. And I think that's where we as a company need to stand up. And so when there's a crisis, you need to be and you need to be able to come with solutions and help. And I think as opposed to criticizing, but not coming with solutions. So I think that's a key part for us as a company of how we lead and how we try and achieve the goals of the country. So example would be in Kenya now, we're working with government in terms of digitizing, taking most government services and putting it onto the M-Pesa platform and digitizing it, or creating we just launched recently a platform called the Hustler Fund, where essentially it's this concept that you can give people anything from $10 to $100 loans, and effectively starts to stimulate the SME economy. So I think like that, you have to start to bring leadership, innovation. And leadership is about innovation. Leadership is about solving real life problems. But most of all, being there to help and drive solutions to problems that government's trying to solve.
You've been working in leadership positions for a couple of centuries now. So it sounds like you're old, but you're not. Sorry about that. So what one piece of advice would you give young leaders to be successful in the future?
I think for me, the most important thing is you've got to be passionate about what you do. You've got to love what you do. And you've got to be motivated. So you've got to come to work with that passion. Firstly. Secondly, I think the big thing is bringing to bear new ideas into whatever you've been asked to do. And the third one, most importantly, is hard work. You've got to put in the time. Mm-hmm. Not just work hard, but you've got to work smart as well. But my mom always used to say, "Hard work never killed anyone," and that was is an important factor. But I think also. For me, if you're asked to do ABC, do ABC and X, Y, and Z. And I think if you're constantly looking at how can you improve whatever the task is that you're doing, how you're cooperating with other departments, and so on, that starts to stand out. And if you're bringing and you're showing innovation in your role and so on, it's very hard for a good manager to not see your potential and give you the opportunity.
Let's start our quickfire round.
Quick fire round.
Shameel,
Sure.
Cricket or soccer?
Soccer.
Swimming or golf?
Swimming.
And this is a hard one for when I think about Cape Town, actually. Ocean or mountains?
Ocean. Or in the case of Cape Town, both.
Both, huh? Yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, exactly.
And Shameel, you also do like swimming as of you're relaxing a little bit, as my understanding. Is this correct? So would you, for your own, like just to say, hey, I need to rest a little bit from Vodacom, is this the piece you go like swimming every week or every day?
I meet up with my school friends and we go swimming on the side.
Ah, great. That's nice.
Sounds like fun. Very good.
Well, thank you, Shameel, for joining us today and sharing your insights on building a better future in Africa with technology, Vodacom, and leadership. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Andre. Nice being on the show.
Those are essential points to keep in mind. And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and colleagues. You can find us on all major podcast platforms, and don't forget to follow us on social media for updates on future episodes. Until next time, keep connecting for a better future. Take care and all the best. Your podcast hosts, Andre and Christian.